Your business runs on information, and as a product developer, you need more than the best design software. Connecting everyone in your business with real-time information, whenever and wherever needed, is key to your success. Instead of using an assortment of disconnected tools, imagine one unified, secure platform connecting stakeholders and their real-time data with product development solutions. A place where ideas can be vetted, plans can be plotted, potential solutions can be tested, and product designs can be optimized, all without leaving the collaborative space. A space where data management is built in and software updates are automatic so you can focus on what's most important to your business. SolidWorks now offers not only the best product development tools in the business with new sub-D modeling capabilities, but now provides a fully collaborative 3D experience platform that connects your people to the right development tools, to real-time information when they need to make informed decisions. The future of your business is collaborative, and so is the new 3D Experience collaborative platform empowering your business success. Unleash the true power of your teams today. To learn more, go to solidworks.com/offers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another SolidWorks Live. We are coming to you today virtually on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Today we have a really exciting topic. Normally I would start with a whole bunch of intro things we're doing, but we're super excited today to be introducing a whole new set of offers from SolidWorks, 3D Experience SolidWorks. And to help me with this, I have two technical experts that some of you may have watched in the past, Mark Schneider and Mark Peterson. And we're also joined today by SolidWorks CEO, Paolo Bassi. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for joining us here virtually. It's a little bit different. We've been doing this for a couple months now. So I wanted to kind of quick go around the table. Where's everybody at here, Paolo, where are you located today?
I am back to the Waltham office near Boston. So we started coming back to the office last week at a lower reduced capacity with the social distancing and so on. I'm a little bit lonely, but it's good to be back.
All right, Mark Schneider, how about you? I don't know if folks know where you're located. Where are you located?
Home office in Cincinnati, Ohio, Jeremy.
So you work from home already as it is, right?
Yes, most of the time.
All right. And then Mark Peterson, how about yourself? Where are you joining us from?
Hey, Jeremy. Yeah, I'm joining from San Diego, California, in the home office.
All right, and I'm Jeremy Rigneris. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm joining everybody from the West Michigan area. So we're quite dispersed across the country. And what's really interesting is that has a lot to do with what we're going to be talking about today. A whole new offering from SolidWorks, 3D Experience SolidWorks. And I think as everybody will see, this is a perfect set of tools for a group like us who are kind of disconnected all across the country, having to work remotely. So today's agenda, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking with Paolo, and then we're going to get into a technical dive with Mark Peterson and Mark Schneider, who are always great at highlighting really cool capabilities inside of our tools. So Mark and Mark, I'll be joining you guys here in a little bit. I want to take a few minutes to talk to Paolo. So Paolo, again, I thank you for joining us here today. This is a big, exciting announcement. Can you tell us a little bit about what 3D Experience SolidWorks is for the viewers at home?
Certainly, Jeremy. Thank you for the question. So as we said at 3D Experience World in Nashville back in February, the offers represent our major product introductions this year, and probably it represents a change in the way we deliver value for the next foreseeable future. In a few words, the offers are a combination in one package of the SolidWorks desktop that you know, and I hope you love, as we do, plus the 3D Experience Cloud services that keep you more collaborative and mobile. how important is this today? You just mentioned that we all work from home offices, from remote offices, but we are still very productive and collaborative. In addition to that, there is embedded data management, it's included, that makes you more productive and efficient. Last but not least, the offer include the next generation of native cloud design tools, 3D Creator and 3D Sculpture, that work directly, natively in any browser. No installation needed. Yes, you can see in the video a very good example. On any device, tablet, phone, mobility, everywhere. All comes in a simple package in 3 different flavors, just like SolidWorks Desktop: standard, professional, and premium, at a price point that is very close to SolidWorks Desktop alone. But we much more value and with amazing offers for those who want to upgrade.
Well, that's great. So, somebody watching us live today, or somebody new who might not be familiar with the SolidWorks family of products, can you tell us a little bit about why these tools would be important to them from just a basic design standpoint? Can you elaborate on some of the 3D Experience platform capabilities and why they would be important to somebody?
Yeah, I think the key is the combination of the power of SolidWorks that everybody knows. I know a lot of our users have invested their most important resources, which is their time. So we respect that very much. So we wanted to enhance the SolidWorks that everybody knows with the capability of the platform. And we believe that this is part of what we call a switch from product thinking to platform thinking. In a way, this is something that we all do already in various activities of our private lives when we use platforms like Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple. We go online, we authenticate ourselves, we have a profile, we go in places where you do many things, whether it is for convenience, shopping, entertainment, and you do all those things in a consistent, integrated, and simple environment. And you expect already from this platform to find something new and interesting every day. We wanted to bring this type of experience to our user, exactly the same type of capabilities, going from simple isolated products to an entire platform type of mechanism. And we think there are very important advantages in doing so. So let me just focus on 4. We can talk a lot about that. But for instance, let's talk about embedded data management. I already mentioned this. It is included, it is embedded. So today, if you want to manage better your data, you have to use a separate product. You have to install it, you have to maintain it, you have to use a specialized hardware. You need to have an administrator. Now, all of this with the offers is gone. With embedded data management and the central repository for all data, will help manage complexity, organize information in a much better way, and ultimately helps you make better decisions. So this is an important advantage, the ability to make a better decision, both in business and in technology. Second, the collaboration tools that are part of the offers makes it possible to establish and grow relationships among all the participants to a project or to various activities that you do within the company or within the professional ecosystem. This will help exchange of ideas, and this will lead to better coordination and at the end more innovation. So this is a huge value, will help our customers be more innovative. Number 3, now, as you know, with the platform and with the fact that SolidWorks assets are saved in a unique repository and everything is kept connected, you have what we call a unique source of truth. And with the platform, we are able to store in any project all the assets that are relevant, all the specifications, the document, the exchange of information, the brainstorming, the design variations. So you have a unique source of truth where everything is kept orderly, And this will make company more agile, more flexible, and as we can see today, even more resilient to disruptions like what we see with the health crisis all over the world. Everything is one place. You can connect and do your job from anywhere. The last, but probably the most important part of our transformation from product to platform is that on the platform, we are able to create a lot of automation. One type of automation that I think everybody will love is that everybody will be on the same version. We automatically update the versions of SolidWorks desktop. We automatically update all the database, all the parts, drawings, and assemblies, automatically. But this is not the only automation that we have introduced with the platform. We have introduced, as you know, design guidance that is part of some applications that we find on the platform, like 3D design, 3D sculpture, and 3D creator. Automation like better selection tools, more intelligence, the ability to automatically create assembly mates. You know, creating assembly requires a lot of clicks. We're thinking a lot about it. Machine learning can only happen within a platform. You have a better shopping experience in Amazon because you are on a platform, because Amazon understands your patterns, have seen what you do, your preferences, looks at your profile. We are doing exactly the same thing. At the end, automation will increase the simplicity, will make life much simpler, will help our customers focus on what they do best, which is innovate. And as you know, at SolidWorks, we are obsessed about simplicity.
That's great. One of the things that I think is going to come to mind for folks who are watching, I want to talk about what's different about this. I mean, so 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks comes with, as you mentioned, a whole host of capabilities that are enabled by the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. But I think a lot of people who tune in, they typically gravitate towards that product that they know and love, SolidWorks. How is that experience going to be different for users? Is this a whole new SolidWorks for them? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know what? It is exactly 100% the SolidWorks, the authentic SolidWorks experience. There is no difference in the CAD experience, in the user interface. It will look, smell, and behave like exactly the 100% desktop counterpart. But it will be enhanced. Because of the fact that it is connected, when you save, and let me make an example, probably the most relevant. When you save a part, it will go in a folder. But instead of being on your hard drive, is on a central repository where the next connected file in assembly, all the connections, all the links are kept together and organized. So you will never risk losing a file, missing a drawing. You will never risk overlapping because versioning is automatically maintained. You can do things like locking a file. All those things that today we offer with products like PDM, but without the overhead of an IT infrastructure of hardware, on-premise, maintenance, and so on. Everything is automatic. So 100% of the design experience augmented by the services of the platform. Data management is one, but what about amazing simulation? Super scalable simulation, multi-physics simulation. You will find in the platform everything that you need to get your job done in bite-sized chunks, simple apps. It works just like your iPhone or your iPad. You find what you need, you get your job done, and the data model is fully consistent. You can interoperate among those amazing capabilities.
I think that's like one of the really interesting things here. So though today, we have a new offering that comes with a set of apps. We're gonna dive into that in a little bit with a bit of a technical deep dive. But one of the things that's really cool here is we really open the floodgates. You were kind of alluding to that with tools like powerful cloud-based simulation. We're going to have access to a massive number of new apps for our customers. I think, when we look at, you had mentioned 3D Creator and 3D Sculptor being a part of 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks, but that's just the beginning, right? We've really opened the doors to all sorts of new capabilities for our customers.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And this is part of why we are doing this thing, because our customers are asking continuous delivery of innovation. Every new idea that pops up in the world, they say, oh, what about me? How can I play with it? For instance, design guidance, generative. You are showing here the amazing capabilities of organic modeling, subdivisions. This is world-class technology, by the way, used in major OEM automotive manufacturer. So this, from design all the way into manufacturing, CNC, MES, ERP, everything will be available on the platform progressively. Material science, simulation of sintering process, tools to predict better 3D printing abilities. And it is the good thing is it comes in bite size, so you can explore. There are a lot of navigation tools. There is a lot of guidance there. There are a lot of examples, a lot of education, a lot of videos that explain what the various applications can do, what are adjacent applications, similar to what you are used today. I mean, you are exploring for a product and you find an indication, well, you know what, if you buy this product, maybe you are interested in this because it is a good complement. If you are interested in this type of things or in this type of movies, here are other movies that can enhance your experience. All of this will become available on the platform. And it's just like on your iPhone, right? What you do, you go on the Apple Store and you explore. You put a keyword and you find amazing capabilities to enhance your productivity. This is exactly what we are going to do with the offers.
All right. So if the folks at home want to learn more about these, we're going to go into a technical deep dive. But if you're new to the SolidWorks family, you're interested in what these products are, you can go to solidworks.com/offers to immediately start learning more about this. We're going to kind of cover this in high level today probably for people who are a little bit more familiar with SolidWorks, recap some of those capabilities. But if you really want to get deep, there's a lot of great videos that you can find by going to that page. There's a link at the bottom to go to a demo gallery where there's a lot of videos. Also, there's a link there. If you're new to the whole SolidWorks family of products, there's a link there to get in touch with a local SolidWorks reseller to learn more deep dive about these tools. Likewise, I'm going to encourage everybody to get involved with our community. We have a public community where people can go join at solidworks.com/join, and you can connect with your peers around the world, have conversations on communities, on the 3D Experience platform, learn more about these tools, and share your experiences that you've had with other users out there. Now, one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to go into a technical deep dive. And to do this, we're going to be focusing on a design that comes from a company called BioDapt. Gian Paolo, you had an opportunity to meet with them at 3D Experience World earlier this year. Let's take a quick look at an interview you did with them at General Session. Let's go ahead and roll that video.
Please join me in welcoming Paralympic gold and silver medalist, 10 times X Game gold medalist, founder and inventor of BioDapt, Monster Mike Schultz.
Oh, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. You know, I wanted to make something positive happen out of something so negative, and so I just chose to look forward and fast forward a bit to when I realized that nobody created the equipment that would allow me to get back into the things that I love the most, like motocross. I went to work and I started designing myself a better leg. And 4 months after the injury happened, I had my first moto knee.
4 months.
4 months. Got back on the motocross bike. 7 months after the injury happened, I'm racing on the world stage, Summer X Games Adaptive Supercross, and got a silver medal on a leg I built in my garage.
Amazing.
Pretty wild.
Amazing.
Yeah, so basically, you know, there's some really good stuff for everyday equipment for walking around like I got right now. And, you know, the fundamental difference is, thank you. So this one swings as I walk. And this one actually has spring resistance in it that helps it extend, like my quadricep muscles. So this system is designed around a Fox mountain bike shock. It's got compressed air in there and hydraulic dampening, and it's all tunable, so I can get, you know, on the snowboard, on the motocross bike, and I can tune it all. And what's really unique about this specific design compared to any other sport legs is this linkage system that I came up with that allows it to have full range of motion and a lot of resistance and alignment options.
That's amazing. So, but this was designed by you for you. But your dream now is to scale up and to empower many, many more athletes with this type of devices.
So John, Paolo, tell me a little bit about, you know, you got the opportunity to interview Mike Schultz at 3D Experience World earlier this year. He was highlighted prominently throughout the event, has an amazing product. Tell us a little bit about, you know, your opportunity to meet and speak with Mike at 3D Experience World.
Yeah, Mike is an extraordinary person. You know, he was able, as he said himself on stage, as you heard, to make an opportunity out of a tragedy. I mean, how many people are able to think that way? It was very, very inspiring. And also he's the poster child for our dream to empower people to make their dreams come true. Mike was dreaming to go back into his high-level sport activities, and he took his destiny in his hands, and technology was not an obstacle. This is exactly our dreams. This is exactly why we are doing what we are doing today. So he was able to create the legs not only for himself, but his prosthetics were used by more than 20 Olympic, Paralympic competitors in the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea. So I think the most amazing part of getting to know Mike was the human part. It is an amazing human being. The other things that I liked very much of his story is that it was fully connected with our ecosystem. He got in touch very quickly with the two extraordinary designers of the Center of Advanced Design. Remember Jesse Hahn and Mark McCauley? They were on stage right after Mike as well. They are super experts. They got in touch and they dreamed together, and they just made it. So for me, it is more than a technological experience. It was an amazing human experience. We still are in touch. We still get the advice of Mike, also Jesse and Mark, for everything that we do, because we like to keep our ecosystem always lively and connected and involved with what we do.
Yeah, we're really excited to show off their BioDapt today with some of the new capabilities. Gianpaolo, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to chat with us here. I'm going to ask you to hang around to the end. So the folks watching at home, we are going to do a live Q&A at the end of this session. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning. I see questions are already rolling in here at the side. When we get kind of done with the technical presentation, we're going to go through some of those questions. We're going to answer some of those on stream. So, Gianpaolo, I just ask that you hang around, but I'm going to bring on Mark Schneider now to, we're going to dive in to 3D Experience SolidWorks, and we're going to learn a little bit about what might be different, what might be the same. Mark, thanks so much for joining us here this morning.
Sure, Jeremy. Happy to be here. Happy to show you 3D Experience SolidWorks.
So are we about to witness? Yeah. Are we about to witness something that's completely different?
No, I'm going to go through the first half of this demo, and Mark Peterson's going to take the second half and show a lot of cool new additional capabilities. But the first part's going to be parts assemblies, drawings, things that are very familiar, but how it's all pulled together using the 3D Experience platform.
All right, let's dive in. Go ahead. You're going to take the steering wheel now.
All right, let's get started here. All right, so what is the 3D Experience platform? Well, it's a series of tools. SolidWorks is connected to the 3D Experience platform. We're in a web page here. We're on a 3D dashboard. 3D dashboard is a place where you can put fully customized. We'll put all different types of things in here. You can have things like we have on the left here, which is kind of a social collaborative tool that allows you to create posts just like any other social media platform that you may have. Over on the left, we have that. So we have some commonly used files at the top and then a viewer, or just a 3D play viewer. And we're just doing everything here is all accessible on the web. One of the posts here tells us, hey, we got some design work to do. Get rid of the old components at the bottom and design a new part. So what we're going to need to do is jump right into SOLIDWORKS and access these files. So what we're looking at here is we can see some of the commonly used files that we're working on. But what we need to do, Jeremy, is we need to get these files into SOLIDWORKS. So you want to see how that happens?
I mean,
straightforward here.
What are you going to do? You got to download these and open them, or what are you going to do?
Watch it. Unmaximize the web page, drag and drop right from the web page right into my SOLIDWORKS windows, and it opens it just like you would from Windows Explorer. Certainly you can use File Open, all those capabilities. You can go search for those files on the 3D Experience platform, but this is just as simple as drag and drop right from the web browser, and that's how connected all this stuff is. So next we're going to look in just kind of the basic stuff that you've probably seen over and over again with SOLIDWORKS or other 3D modeling tools. Start with a sketch, you add some materials, you go ahead and extrude it. All great capabilities. We'll extrude this about the mid-plane, add some fillets. These are all things that SOLIDWORKS has had forever. So these are just capabilities that we have. The whole wizard, people love the whole wizard. It's like having your machinery's handbook right inside of this tool. Allows you to choose all your sizes, all your familiar sketching tools. Instant 3D is there. We've kind of finished our part. We're done with this part here, and pretty straightforward. And I think that looked pretty much like the SOLIDWORKS you know and love,
so
right?
far it feels like SOLIDWORKS I know and love.
Yep. Next, drawings. How do we deal with drawings? Again, SOLIDWORKS you know and love here. Drag out a view, put some projected views onto your sheet, put an isometric view, shaded views, all that stuff's available. All the dimensions that were used to create your model are certainly available here, so we'll go ahead and add those. Every detailer likes to make a nice, clean, neat drawing, so moving your dimensions around is all that is there, all that's capable. So we've kind of completed our drawing here, Jeremy. Now, we got some extra work to do. So if you remember from the video, the moto knee and VF2 foot, you have to connect the VF2 foot to the moto knee. So we need to put a hole in the bottom or something to try to figure out how to approach that.
Okay, so I mean, you had an old version of that had that in there. Are you going to recreate that from scratch, or can you? I mean, I feel like you've already done that work.
You're absolutely right. So on this bottom, we want to put a hole in there. As opposed to me reinventing the wheel and trying to figure that out, let's go and do a search. So here I'm searching on the 3D Experience platform for the old lower bracket. I don't know what the number was. I don't know where it was stored. I don't know any of that information, but I do know it was called lower bracket. The search comes back and finds the model. Right from our task pane, I'm able to drag and drop and open that up. And here's these features that I want to be able to reuse. Now, I could take these features and extract the dimensions or try to gather that information, or again, standard SOLIDWORKS capability and functionality, just drag and drop. Drag and drop, feature reuse, and I can go ahead and place those into my model. We'll come back, update our drawing. Our drawing is up to date. We added a section view, inserted our model items. Now what we need to do is check this in, share this with the rest of the people on our team. It knows that the drawing's new. It knows that the part is part of the drawing and has been modified, and it's owned by me or it's locked by me. No one else can make changes to that. So what I need to do is I need to share this and just hit save. What this will do is it'll actually store it into the 3D Experience platform. It knows the hierarchy. So one of the great capabilities of the saving to the 3D Experience platform is it's CAD aware. It knows that, this part is part of the drawing. Parts are part of an assembly, assemblies and sub-assemblies. It knows that full structure, and that's all taken care of. You can see in the task pane, it tells me the status. You got a green check mark. That means it has been shared to the 3D Experience platform, and it's unlocked so that you or Mark Peterson or anybody else could make changes if you have access to this particular space where I've stored this.
So right now, what you showed there, where you were saving this to the 3D Experience platform, this feels familiar to me as somebody who's used SOLIDWORKS PDM in the past. Was this to use this? Is it like PDM? Did you have to install like a server somewhere? Did you have to install local software to connect it? What did you have to do to make that work? Because the experience in SolidWorks seems pretty easy, but I have to imagine you had to do a bunch of back-end work to get this to work this easily.
No installation necessary. In fact, when I sign up to use 3D Experience SolidWorks, all I need to do is access the web page. So the web page that we saw in the beginning, in the compass, there's a button there for SolidWorks, and I click the button. It downloads all the software, installs all the software. There is no installation of any type for the data management that's going on here. So this data management piece is all happening in the cloud. There's no installation of any type that needs to take place. All I'm doing is hitting save, and it knows that, hey, I created, think of it as a folder, but it's a collaborative space where I can store my files. And if you look in the upper right-hand corner, it tells me I'm storing this in the BioDapt collaborative space. So that's really the only thing. And I can have control over that so that only certain people might have access to that particular collaborative space. I don't want to give access to anyone. And obviously you can see that we have controls over individual files, drawings, parts, assemblies, and so on.
So the same flexibility and power we're used to without all the headaches of having to get a server set up somewhere. It just works out of the box, right?
It just works out of the box, and it's CAD aware, so it knows that parts are part of drawings, or parts are a child of drawings, or parts are child of an assembly.
All right, so you got this part done. What are we going to do next? We're going to put this thing together?
Speaking of assemblies, let's do some assembly stuff. So again, back to the same SolidWorks you know and love. I need to get this part into the assembly. Just using SmartMate technology, I grabbed that edge, dropped it onto the edge inside of my part, and that goes ahead and assembles it. Now we're going to need to create a shoulder, or put a shoulder screw in there. So instead of me drawing up a new shoulder screw, I'm going to do a search for shoulder in my library. So it's going off and found 12 different shoulder screws. We can narrow our search down here. In this case here, I know it's going to be M6. I know it's going to be 25 millimeters long. Comes back, I have 2 results. That one's low profile. We'll take the standard head type and assemble it right from the task pane. Just assemble it. So that's what you're already familiar with. SmartMate Technologies, grab that edge, place it on there, and it adds that relationship to locate that. And finally, we'll assemble our shock. So we'll assemble our shock and add a concentric relationship to that. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple there.
Yeah, I love how easy that was. I mean, so before you showed me you could access everything through a web browser, but what's really cool here is right from within the task pane inside of SolidWorks, it was really easy for you to search for that. Now, did you have to know where you downloaded that fastener or anything like that, or does it take care of everything for you?
It really takes care of everything behind the scenes. You don't need to know where that fastener goes, or it does put it into a local cache, but there's no need to concern. With the powerful search capability, you just do a search and it finds it, drag and drop right from the task pane. So there's no reason to say, hey, do I have access to this network drive? Did I store it on a local, folder? None of that stuff there. You're just accessing it from the 3D Experience platform from the cloud, basically.
All right. So what's next here? Do we know that this new bracket works and everything's we're going to have no issues?
We know the new bracket works, but one of the other tasks that we were asked to do inside of that post that we saw was to verify that we don't have any interference or collisions with this complicated mechanism at the top. And Mike previewed this in his video with Paolo on stage. So this complicated mechanism here, sometimes it's very difficult to see these things when you're actually working with your assembly. So one of the great capabilities is to use interference detection, or in this case, we're going to use collision detection. In this case, I'm just going to do some real-time collision detection by moving some parts around on the screen, and you can see it stops at that collision. Now, I could clearly see that I had interference there when I cut the cross section, but collision detection allows you to check this on the fly. We'll make a change to resolve this collision or this interference here. Just change that one part there, and you can clearly see here that we no longer have our collision, no longer have interference, and now this leg is, or this new moto knee is ready to work, ready to go. It's good to go.
So you made all these changes. I have to imagine we both have documentation yet to worry about, but you've made you've actually made a change to an existing part in your design. How are we gonna handle the documentation in these changes?
That's very good. When we created the lower bracket, that first part that we created, that was a brand new part. We started from scratch, brand new part in drawing, and we just checked them in. In this case here, what we're going to do is we're going to search for our drawing for this. Again, I don't need to know where that drawing exists, who's working on it. I just need to drag it and drop it into my assembly. The information that's in the tree, notice you can see the update down at the bottom. We'll go ahead and fix our balloons. We now have our new parts and new balloons, but the information in the tree lets me know if I have access to this part or if I have control of this part. In this case, these parts are released. So we, like you said, we made some changes to some parts and these parts are released, and we can't change released documents, but we can bump the revision. We want to maintain that history of revision A has certain components that are at revision A. So we're able to manage that here and just change the revisions of just a couple of parts here. We'll put in a revision comment to let people know, and basically we're sharing that up to the platform. So that we now have a revision B of our assembly drawing. Our assembly individual parts now have revision B. So we have that full history control, and we have the lifecycle control because it knows what parts are released or in work. Full history, full revision, full data management. Again, with no work on my end to do any setup on that. It's just SolidWorks as you know and love. You're just storing everything to the cloud.
Yeah, but it is a little bit more than the SolidWorks you know and love. I really love a new thing that you showed, and that was how easy it was to find my data. You had to find that fastener, you had to find that drawing, you had to find that everything you had to find. What was great was right from the task pane inside of SolidWorks, I had basically access to everything you were showing me within the web browser on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. Seems like SolidWorks, as we know and love, is just innately connected to the platform now.
It's correct. You don't need to know whether or not the great thing about it is you're connected to the platform, which is on the internet, is on the web. You don't need to know which network folder, whether you're on VPN, which local folder anything is. You're just connected to the cloud and you have access to everything.
All right. Well, Mark, that's really cool, but I think we want to take this design to the next level. I want to bring Mark Peterson on to kind of take a look at some of the other things that are part of the 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks offers. So Mark Schneider, thanks so much for doing that. Hang on, we're going to have a Q&A here in a little bit after we talk to Mark Peterson, so don't go away. Mark Peterson, welcome.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, so Mark Schneider showed us some really cool stuff inside of SolidWorks Desktop. What are we going to do? How are we going to take this design kind of to the next level? I mean, what if I don't have access to, all the same resources that Mark does? Can you kind of walk us through what that would look like?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I was so excited to work on with these tools over the past few months, because over the span of my career, one of my least favorite things to do is to take my work with me, which usually means a giant laptop with a giant charging brick and, all the extra amenities that come with that. And, something that's really exciting about what I'm going to show you today is that you can have access to powerful CAD capabilities and more using the 3DEXPERIENCE platform on a thin and light laptop or even a tablet. So, we'll start with Megan Manager. So I'm going to switch real quick to a new character. And she notices in the community that we need a couple of parts to finish up our project here. But maybe she's on the go. She doesn't have access to her powerful computer. So what she's going to do is just open up X design in the browser and get started right away. Now you'll notice the user interface here looks very similar to SolidWorks and has a lot of the same icons. And it has a lot of the same mechanisms. So for example, pop-up toolbars for quick access to your tools. You can have context-sensitive commands there, like mirroring, for example, and some other technologies that are built in that SolidWorks doesn't have. So, for example, clicking on an entity brings up a dimension that you can click and specify the size. So this is some really great stuff. Now, Mark earlier showed something called 3D. And so what you can do is you can just pull these sketches out and you can turn them into 3D immediately. We can also pick up on edges and bring up entities in the center, for example. So I can create these extra circles here, for example. And again, it's just kind of pushing and pulling. You pull out, you make some material, you push in, you cut material. Mirroring works the same in features as it does in sketches. And again, just a lot of the same shortcuts and mechanisms that you're used to, as well as things like, picking up silhouette edges from 3D geometry and pulling those into your sketches, or quickly accessing a trim tool to be able to get rid of entities that you don't need. And just like that, we've created a quick part that we want to use in our design, for example.
Yeah, so these tools are great. I love the fact that you're able to do all of this within a web browser. X-Design is really cool. Everything about 3D Creator is really cool. But the question that comes to mind is, you're playing the role kind of here of this character, Megan, who doesn't have access to SolidWorks. Well, part of the design, don't we want to put this back in that SolidWorks assembly? So she can't do it. So how are we going to tackle that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with 3DEXPERIENCE SolidWorks, she needs to go back to the office to get access to her computer that has SolidWorks installed on it. But maybe she can't do that. Maybe she's traveling or something like that. So instead, she wants to inform maybe another team member. So in this case, we're going to inform Eric Engineer that, there's some extra work that needs to be done. And we want to pull this 3DEXPERIENCE file right into the SolidWorks assembly of the VF2 foot. Now, traditionally, you would do that using email. But here, what we're going to show is that you can do all of this communication using the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So let's play that. There we go. And so what she's going to do is just expose her collaborative tasks app and just get started right away by creating a new task. So usually with tasks, we just, create a title, but it's a lot more than that. It's very rich in its context here. So of course you would add a description, something that helps Eric understand the job that needs to be done. And then there are other entries that you can put here. For example, any kind of files that might be contextual. So here I have a PDF file, but it could be a spreadsheet or something like that. We could also estimate a duration or finish date so we can keep our lead times low on our projects, which is really important to the manager. And then, of course, we assign Eric, and he's going to be notified that he's been assigned here. My favorite part of the collaborative tasks is the ability to attach this CAD data. Instead of asking Eric to go and search for the right data, which might take him time, Mega Manager can just add the data here inside the attachment. That really saves a lot of time, and also saves the uncertainty that Eric might have whether or not he's working on the right files. While she's here, she's going to create another task to ask Eric to create a visually appealing cover for the VF2 foot as well. Again, just sort of filling out this form as she did before, adding those attachments to make sure that he has quick and easy access to those.
So it sounds like Megan's given Eric a lot of work to do, and I think we're going to take a look at that in a minute. But one of the things I really like that you showed is she took a lot of the early lifting off it. She knew what he was going to have to work with. Like you said, I really liked you had that ability to attach the component that she just made there in X-Design. Because the SolidWorks assembly is already on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, she was able to search for that and add that as well. She's kind of took any confusion or guesswork out of what Eric's going to have to do, right?
Exactly. And, that might be something where, you would be initially confused that, how do we mix these two files types together inside SolidWorks? Well, now we're going to focus on Eric Engineer and his session. Notice that, he could go to the collaborative task in the web, but he's going to do it right here inside his SolidWorks user interface. So all he needs to do to get started on a task is just drag and drop it to end work. This notifies his manager that he's gotten started on this, and he's going to head straight to those attachments and open up this data straight from the 3DEXPERIENCE platform right into a session. Pulls all that data down for him immediately, as well as open up that 3DEXPERIENCE file, this link. Now, notice how that just opens up just like any other SolidWorks file. We can pane these over, and we can just drag and drop this, and it's going to snap right into our SolidWorks assembly. This is a first-class citizen here inside SolidWorks. So we can perform other operations. So for example, we want to mirror this over to the other side. We can do that just as simple as using our SolidWorks commands for that. And of course, these are real physical files. We can see, of course, the motion of the assembly here with those files included. We want to make sure we save this back to the 3D Experience platform, but there's kind of a stopgap check here to make sure that you have access to write to the 3D Experience platform and save your changes. This could be really important because it's possible that somebody else might have been working on these files, but this kind of makes it so you don't accidentally overwrite anybody else's work. And so again, that just saves the differences to the 3D Experience platform, saving you time and bandwidth, of course. And then the last step is that Eric wants to notify his manager that he's completed the task, so he'll just confirm that in his task pane.
All right, I mean, you showed a lot of really cool stuff there. I mean, I think what's really interesting is we saw Megan kind of working in the web browser, and like what Mark Schneider showed us earlier, you were able to do all this right within inside of SolidWorks. That task showed up, you got a notification for it, you were able to access the files from there. So it was pretty easy to go ahead and do that work that you had to do right there. One of the other things that really stood out to me is when you had to check those files back in, you hadn't like preemptively reserved those. You were able to just you had enough flexibility. You could kind of just do that whenever you wanted, as long as nobody else owned them. Is that what I saw?
Exactly. Yeah, I've had a lot of experience working with solutions like this. And, sometimes what happens is you make a bunch of changes, you're really happy with them, and then you forgot, oops, I forgot to, check out or reserve those files. And now you have to kind of back out of all that work and, do it the right way from the beginning. So the flexibility that you have here to reserve those files on the fly is really powerful, and it just saves you from a lot of headaches, which it's just really a pleasure to work with for sure.
So the other thing I saw that I found really interesting is you brought a file that you created in XDesign, you brought it into SolidWorks. What if I wanted to go the other way? Can I use a SolidWorks assembly inside of one of these X apps?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so for the second task that Eric has to do, he wants to create a visually appealing cover for the VF2 foot assembly. And of course, he could do that in SolidWorks using the traditional sort of sketches and planes and creating surfacing and that sort of thing. And that would be fine. But with 3D Experience SolidWorks, he has access to a subdivision modeling app on the platform. So all he wants to do here is just open up that assembly inside the 3D Experience platform. As you can see here, it's a mix of SolidWorks files and 3D Experience files. And Eric is just going to add another 3D Experience file here. And of course, we just want to give it a name. We'll call it cover in this case. And if we want to edit that, we just double click to activate it. Now you'll notice that the SolidWorks assembly kind of goes translucent, indicating that we're now going to be working on this new file. So we still have access to reference that SolidWorks assembly, and we're going to use these primitives now. So notice these are just kind of basic starting shapes for our design. And we just can add or remove subdivisions as needed, and then push and pull on that, kind of like a virtual clay, if you will. So now that we have it sort of in the right spot, we can, of course, add some symmetry that's really useful here in a lot of designs like this. And, we have a lot of these kind of curved, soft edges. Let's go ahead and harden those edges with a crease. Notice that context-sensitive pop-up there again, just saving me time searching for commands or looking for the command in a toolbar. It's just right there next to my cursor. I can, kind of, again, manipulate this object. And maybe Eric wants to make this a little bit more visually appealing by changing that top surface. Well, instead of just moving it, we can sketch directly on that primitive and create something that's really, really interesting looking. So, of course, we're gonna continue sort of just manipulating these areas until we get to the shape that we're looking for. And we expect that this part will likely be injection molded. So we want to start with we want to do a quick draft analysis. Of course, any yellow or red here indicates a potential undercut. So we'll just manipulate the subdivision model until we get, all green in this case. And then finally, we want to perform some other operations. We can totally do that. Here we have the ability to create a shell, and we can do that, just like we would any other sort of CAD environment.
Mark, all that stuff's really cool. I have a bunch of questions here I want to ask you as we go through there. So one of the things I noticed is it didn't look like you had to add any sketches, any relationships, any mates, anything like that. Is it really that easy? Do I just push and pull on this stuff?
It really is that easy, and it's such a pleasure to use. It's so much fun, really. And the thing is, you're trying to create something that's very creative. It's not necessarily parametric until you get later on down the road. You want to be able to kind of express your idea as freely as possible, and that's what this tool really allows you to do. Doing it with sketches and planes and surfaces, that's fine, but sometimes you get bogged down in the details. It's a little bit cumbersome. But with X shape here that we're showing, it really just gets out of your way, and you can just design what you want to design.
So if I want to go further, though, one of the things I saw you do at the beginning is you were in X design, and it seemed like it was really, you just quickly switched over to X shape. Can I go back to X design and add like ribs and holes and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can switch that right back to X design, or other apps that you have access to on the 3D Experience platform. And the great thing about it is you don't have to close it out or save it out to a different format or something like that. You can just use the switcher inside the app to just go directly to that. So you don't have to redo your setup. You don't have to start from scratch or anything like that. It just picks up where you left off. Sort of just changes it in the background.
All right. So then the last question I have, so we've seen that you've been running this inside of a web browser, and you're using this environment that really promotes just, touching and dragging on things. Can I use this on a touch device like my iPad or something like that?
Yeah, and it works really, really well with touch devices. This tool is built from the ground up with that concept in mind, of course, and it has special features in there that make it really easy to create sketches or to do just what I showed you, but using a stylus or your hands to manipulate these items. So you saw the little triad that I was kind of moving around. That's really easy to kind of pick up with your hands rather than your mouse. In fact, some things are easier. So the little swept curve that I made there is much easier to draw that with a stylus or your hand than it is to draw it with a mouse like I did. So
Right.
In a lot of ways, these tools are really built to be used on mobile devices like that, whether it's a tablet or a thin and light laptop that has a touchscreen on it, or any other mobile device.
Cool. So you finished your task that Megan gave you. So are you going to let her know that you're done? I mean, what happens next?
Yeah, absolutely. So instead of just letting the manager know, which she's been notified through our completing the collaborative task, but we want to let the rest of the team know. So what Eric is going to do is going to open this up inside the 3D Play app here. And, we can see he can manipulate this, hide show items, do an exploded view, which was not created in SolidWorks. It was done inside the 3D Experience platform automatically. But we really want to highlight the new components that we created, maybe add some text in there, and then take a quick screenshot of that built into the 3D Play app. And now we're going to head back over here to our 3D Swim community and just, reply to that original post and ask the rest of the team, what do you guys think about these new parts? And then they can keep replying in this thread, and we can keep everything organized and, get a bunch of feedback from everyone to continue on with our design.
Very cool. So one of the things, we wanted to give everybody a fairly high level overview of what you're getting with 3D Experience SolidWorks and the new offers that we have. One of the really cool things here, we show this in another video. So if you go to that website, I'll link it again later, solidworks.com/offers. If you kind of dig into the demo gallery that we have, the demo library we have there, one of the things you could have done with this is you could have made multiple versions of this and made it an idea and had people vote on it. Can you quickly explain that, like what an idea funnel would allow you to do here?
Yeah, this is exactly that. Now, this is secure access to your platform. So, your company has logins and users that can access this, but it doesn't just have to be team members. You can invite anyone that you want and specify what they're able to see or what they're able to participate in. So yes, of course, you could create an idea and you could have your team vote on it, but you can also get other stakeholders from outside your company to also vote on it. So for example, maybe you have some champions for your products and you want to invite them to an early visibility of an upcoming product that you have. So there's a lot of flexibility in the platform. And one of the things is most important is that it's super, super secure. So you don't have to worry about your data being leaked out or anything like that. It's all contained within the platform securely.
Well, that's great. Mark, thanks so much for kind of walking us through some of those more web-enabled tools. I want to bring everybody back, Mark Schneider, Paolo Bassi. So I thought what we saw was really cool. And again, we're just scratching the surface here. If you want to learn, we're going to dive into this Q&A, but if you want to learn more about these tools, I've kind of mentioned it a couple times here. You can go to solidworks.com/offers, and there are two really important links on that website. There's near the bottom, there is the demo library that will take you in, and you can kind of learn more about some of the capabilities of all these different apps that are available through this offer. And there's also a link, again, if you're new to SolidWorks and the SolidWorks family, there's a button there to reach out, find a local SolidWorks reseller, and they can work with you and give you a very technical deep dive on these tools. So what we'd like to do now is I've been getting questions fed to me over on another monitor here. So I'm going to look through this list. We obviously only have so much time. I don't know that we can answer them on. So let me scroll back here. One of the things is, it says, what about the security in a cloud services? Most companies don't want their design data to leak. And Mark Peterson, I think you just talked about that. The fact that, can you elaborate like how you can control who has access to your data, when and where?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it's of course secure. You log in with your username and password, and there is somebody that you specify as being the administrator for it, and they can decide. Let's say you have particular collaborative spaces. You can decide if people have read or write access to those collaborative spaces, for example, where all your files are stored, or you can specify that they have access to particular communities or particular functions or even particular apps. And that's again kind of why we talk a lot about roles. If you have people in your company that have a specific role, they want to do something in particular. So, if you have somebody that is more industrial design focused and only needs access to the X-Shape app, we would give them that particular role rather than, giving them, a bunch of different apps. So you have all kinds of power around how you specify who gets access to what.
Yeah, you're actually getting into one of the other questions we have here. I'll let Paolo elaborate on this a little bit more. I think he'd be comfortable with this question. The question asks, why did we choose to develop multiple apps as opposed to one full package with all this capability in it? Paolo, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, this is a very good question, but you have to see that the entire information technology in all sectors is evolving into the concept of microservices that can be hot swappable. So we believe that this architecture, multiple apps instead of a monolithic thing, is much more agile. We can independently upgrade each and every one of those apps without disturbing the overall flow. And at the end is more scalable. Literally, the example is look at the Apple Store. Could you imagine all the apps in the Apple Store in one DVD? It's impossible. And by the way, you may be interested in only a fraction of those. I'm very often questioned by our customers. So I am only interested in certain things. Why do you put everything together? It's bloated. So I think this is really a modern way of delivering value and innovation.
Yeah, Mark Peterson, he was kind of talking about that a little bit too. One of the great things is an admin can, maybe your company, you only want to purchase so many licenses. Well, you can choose who has access to what apps within your licenses and things like that. It gives you a lot of flexibility in your ability to pick and choose what people use. So to your point, Paolo, a lot of people have said, I don't need SolidWorks plastics in my SolidWorks Premium. I don't need routing. I don't do that, but I want simulation. So this really is extremely flexible in the ability to do that. So I have another question for you, Gianpaolo. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. I think I know the answer to this. Do we have any offers for students when it comes to the 3D Experience platform?
Indeed, go online. It's there. So for students that, if you are a part of a school, the school is entitled, you have full access to the school offer. But if you are an individual student and you buy the student edition, I think it's $99, you have up to 1 year access to the platform. So it is included.
All right. Mark Schneider, I have a question for you. I think you talked about this. It says, how do I download the software? And now keep in mind, when we're talking about 3D Experience SolidWorks, a lot of the tools actually run right within a web browser. But Mark, I think you actually briefly touched on this when you were talking about how to get SolidWorks up and running.
That's right, Jeremy. Instead of going to the customer portal and downloading a big 6 gigabytes worth of data, running through the install process, figuring out where you're going to put it, it's just a matter of clicking the icon under the compass in the 3D Experience platform, and it'll download all the software and install it. And it's really like three buttons to click, and everything's installed. You don't need to know where you're putting certain files or anything, because everything's being stored in the cloud. But you are still downloading the software locally, so the SolidWorks is still running locally. That's what keeps it running very fast. It's not having to run across a web browser, so it runs very fast. But everything is done kind of in the background. You don't need to download and install software or wait for a DVD to come.
And that's when we're talking specifically about the SolidWorks desktop app. Now, Mark Peterson showed us part of 3D Experience SolidWorks are things like 3D Creator, which includes XDesign, and 3D Sculptor, which includes XShape. Those don't require any software. There's no thin client to install or anything. Those just run natively within your web browser. So that's important there too. Let's see. I have another question, Mark Schneider. I'm going to ask this because I know that this was one of your favorite things. It says, so do we not need SolidWorks Explorer anymore?
No, you do not need SolidWorks Explorer. It doesn't come in the package anymore, because the having everything stored in the platform, you basically have that all built in at the platform level. So there's a tool that you can add to your dashboard that gives you your full relationship explorer, so you can do your where used to composed of type of things to know what files go with which assemblies. That's one of the tools that I could have added to my dashboard that I showed in the very beginning of my demonstration to do that. All that stuff's there. So, it's very similar is eDrawings, Jeremy. eDrawings been a very powerful tool for over 20 years as a great viewing tool. We don't need eDrawings anymore, because once your files are in the platform, you just view them in 3D Player. You can share those with people. You can post a 3D model inside of your little social collaborative community there, and people can rotate a model around right inside of the community as well. So those tools are not really needed when all your files are stored in a platform like they are.
Yeah, there's a really cool advantage. You mentioned eDrawings, and I know a lot of people love eDrawings, but when Mark Peterson was showing 3D Play, one of the things that comes to mind is you used to have to send an eDrawing to somebody, and then they'd have to install eDrawings, or you'd have to email them an executable that their virus protection software would remove. You don't have to deal with that anymore. They just go to a web page and they can now view your 3D models without having to install anything. It really simplifies the entire process.
That's right. Everybody has access to the 3D Play, and as long as you have read access to that file, you'll be able to see it.
Yep. So there's a question here. Mark Peterson, I'll let you answer this one. Do I need to back up anymore?
No, everything's backed up to the cloud automatically. And it's a secure backup as well. So definitely, you don't need to do any kind of, on-premise, off-premise backups. It's already backed up. As soon as you hit save, it's backed up.
Yep. I think it's really important people understand, like, one of the great things about the 3D Experience platform is this is a cloud service that's available to you. There's nothing for you to install to worry about managing, backing up, updating, or anything like that. So I knew it was a bit of a rhetorical question. I wanted to make sure we answered it here. One of the other ones, do we have So this is an interesting question. Gian Paolo, I'm going to let you answer this one because I think this is what's interesting about this is a new offer, this isn't replacing anything. The question is do files have to be stored in the cloud, or can a company have a local server for storing their files locally?
By default, the files, the SolidWorks part, assembly, drawing, etc., are stored in the cloud with all the facilities that you have. But you can also save locally. You have your traditional PRT file and SLD ASM. So you have your traditional files. They are all still there, fully compatible with any other version of SolidWorks, or same version of SolidWorks, I would say, same release, and forward compatibility. All of that is still available, and customer could do whatever they want with the files if they desire to do so.
Yep. So that's really important to know there that, this is still SolidWorks. The files that when we click save, it is saving a .sld PRT, .sld ASM, .sld DRW up to the 3D Experience platform. And those are files that you could save locally if you wanted to. So this is an interesting question. Will there be SolidWorks for home use? And I think one of the things that I'll just quickly mention this is because you're logging in with a user ID, you can literally install 3D Experience SolidWorks anywhere. You have to log in when you fire up SolidWorks. Mark Schneider, do you want to elaborate on that any? I think you talked about that. You have your user icon in the upper right-hand corner. I think this helps people who've always kind of had that question. I only have one license, but I think it's important maybe we mention that you're doing this all with a user ID now.
It's exactly true. So you log into the 3D Experience platform, and if your home computer does not have SolidWorks installed on it, it'll, just like I mentioned before, it'll download the SolidWorks application and install it. You can't log in two places, so you still have that restriction, but you can log out when you're done working at home or when you're done in the office, and then you can go home and work from home as well. All you're doing is logging into into a web page, and once you're logged into SolidWorks, and you're able to do it. And you have access to all those files. So all those files are the same files that are stored in the platform. So it's not like, hey, I got to go grab these files, take them home, work on them, bring them back to the office, and do any of that. You're just logging in and using the same exact SolidWorks connected software on your home computer with full access to all the 3D Experience SolidWorks files.
Yep. So there's 2 or 3 questions that sort of ask the same thing. I'll try to pick the one that asks it best. And I'll let Mark Peterson, if you want to answer this. I'm just kind of throwing those questions out there. The questions asked multiple times by different people. It says, for those of us with experience with PDM, I'll be curious to know how this compares to that. I'm seeing some similarities with social platform mixed in so far. And then there's another question, there's a couple other questions that says, how do I get my data from another PDM system into the cloud? Mark Peterson, do you want to elaborate on those 2 questions? There's a bunch of versions of that question that have come through. So,
absolutely, yeah. So those are great questions. I've used SolidWorks PDM in the past, both standard and professional, and I can say that I still find those to be excellent pieces of software. And if you require the capabilities that they offer, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important, is the high customizability of your workflows. And revision states and all that sort of stuff. It is a great tool. Now, that comes with some downsides. There are some that you have to install a server, you have to have an IT professional, manage that. You have to manage your own data, you have to manage your own offsite backups, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's great because it has that ability to customize it to exactly what you want. But there is a little bit of difficulty sometimes because you have to, work with all these different pieces of hardware and software. And And kind of like what Mark mentioned before, if somebody wants to go off-site, or they have to travel a lot, or they're at a customer site, it's difficult sometimes to get those people access to your data because you have to open up a VPN, and then that's just more IT overhead. So, I still love PDM, and, I think it's a fantastic tool. Now, the difference is that you don't have that IT overhead with 3D Experience SolidWorks. With the 3D Experience platform, it's just there to accept your data, and it puts it through workflows. You can change those workflows. You can change the revision scheme a little bit here and there. But for the most part, it just kind of works out of the box. And I really appreciate that. It has a pretty standardized workflow that I really like right out of the box. So really, you don't have to do anything. You just hit save, and it just saves, and you can right-click on something and give it a new revision, just like Mark Schneider showed earlier. So, I hope that answers the question. But for me, the big difference is just it's powerful, but it's also, something you just don't have to manage. You don't have to have all this extra expense and cost, to be able to get started right away with managing your data and protecting your data. So to me, that's a huge benefit. Now, as far as moving things from one PDM system to the other, that's always a challenge, no matter which PDM system you're moving to another PDM system. It's always going to be a bit of a challenge. So if we need to, it's difficult to talk about specifics, but there are always pathways. There are always pathways to do it. And then there's also other methods that you could use, like, for example, just starting new projects in the new in 3D Experience SolidWorks, for example, and leaving the legacy projects as is. So, there's a lot of ways we can do that, and I would highly recommend just reaching out quickly to your reseller and asking them about those specifics, because it really is a case-by-case basis.
Yep. That's the right. So we're going to field one more question. We were not able to get through all the questions. We're going really long on time here. So I am going to encourage people. I'm going to do one more question, but I'm going to throw this link up on screen. Let me do this really quick, because on this page, there is a link to contact a local SolidWorks reseller. A lot of the questions that are coming in, I highly encourage you, talk to your reseller. If you're not familiar with how that works, they are great groups of people who are professionals at helping companies become successful with SolidWorks products, and now with 3D Experience SolidWorks products. So go to that link, solidworks.com/offers. If you don't know who a reseller in your area is, there's a link on that page that will help you find that. But the last question, Gian Paolo, I'm going to ask it for you. The cool sub D stuff, is that an extra cost, or is that included when we refer to 3D Experience SolidWorks?
No, it is included. As I mentioned, the offers comes in 3 flavors, standard, professional, and premium, just like desktop. Standard includes 3D Creator, and the other 2 offers, professional and premium, include both 3D Creator and 3D Sculpture.
Very cool. So I think that I'm going to answer one more question here. I'll answer it. When is SolidWorks 2021 going to release? Same time as we do every year. So that's the other thing. Now you're going to see new stuff coming in SolidWorks 2021. That's going to be the same thing in both of these products. The only difference here is this product and offering is just connected to the 3D Experience platform. So later this year, your local resellers will start having launch events around October 1st, I think is when they usually start having them. I know our team is working on putting together tons of great content for that. And we will obviously do a SolidWorks Live when SolidWorks 2021 is getting ready to release. So I want to thank all my guests for being here today. I kept you for a really long time today. I appreciate answering all of these questions that we have. So for everybody tuning in at home, again, I left that URL up on the screen. Again, if you want to get involved in the conversation and talk with peers about what these tools are, your experiences with the SolidWorks tools, please go to solidworks.com/join and join a great community of users there. It doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is sign up. And you'll be involved in that community. We're not done though. SolidWorks Live keeps going, but also live design. So we've been running live design exclusively on YouTube for the last couple months, Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's tomorrow. We're going to have Brian Zayas is coming back with his flexible monitor mount part 2. So if you go to our YouTube channel, there's a playlist called Live Design. You can go watch Brian in his previous example where he showed how to model both the sheet metal component and the bracket for this monitor mount. Well, tomorrow he's going to take that design even further. He's going to look at doing some simulation on the components. And one of the really cool things that I can't wait to watch is he's going to show how to do some really cool assembly techniques with flexible components. So people who use SolidWorks, if you don't know what flexible components are, be sure to tune in. If you do, he's going to have some great tips on how to use those properly. And then the next SolidWorks Live, we are already planning that for August 19th. We're going to have Mike Puckett from the SolidWorks certification program here on SolidWorks Live. And we're going to be talking about one of our #1 questions we always get on live design and SolidWorks Live are CSWP and CSWE. He's going to go through the entire certification program breakdown. So if you want to stay tuned on everything that we're doing on social media, make sure you like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, connect with us on LinkedIn, and follow us on Instagram. And until next time, I hope everybody is staying safe and yeah, we'll see you next time.